Thank you for joining us today. We'll be going over respectful workplace training. My name is Tara Spracklin, and I am the Client Human Resources Manager for Payday HCM. The purpose of today's training is to educate employees about harassment, discrimination, and bullying in the workplace, to raise awareness among employees that their own behaviors may be offensive, remind employees of company policies and inform them of their own rights, and ultimately foster a work environment that is professional, safe, and productive. We'll begin by examining discrimination and the law. There are two main acts we want to review: Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which is a federal law, and the New Mexico Human Rights Act. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act generally prohibits employers from discriminating on the basis of certain protected classes. These are notated in bold on your screen. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act prohibits sex discrimination, including gender identity, change of sex, and/or transgender status. The New Mexico Human Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on age, disability, both mental and physical disability, including HIV and AIDS, marital status, medical conditions such as obesity, genetic characteristics, cancer, military and veteran status, gender, gender identity and gender expression, and sexual orientation. There are many different types of harassment in the workplace. First, we'll review a hostile work environment, which occurs when an individual feels uncomfortable in his or her work environment. It is conduct that either is severe or pervasive, or both. This conduct may be aimed at specific individuals or generalized towards a group of individuals. It's caused by repeated occurrences of harassment and/or discrimination, and it's important to note that a hostile work environment can be caused by verbal, nonverbal, or physical behavior towards an individual or group of individuals. Let's take a look at a video to explain a hostile work environment further.
Yeah, Howard? What's up?
I guess they think this is funny.
Where did this come from?
I found it on my desk. I think it's Matt's little joke.
I guess I should talk to him.
Workplace harassment can be caused by what is often referred to as a hostile environment, a term which encompasses a wide scope of unwelcome and offensive conduct that is severe or pervasive and is based on a protected category. Items that may contribute to a hostile environment may include offensive objects that are brought into the workplace, cartoons, posters, cards, or mugs, for example, whether they are purposely meant to hurt someone or not. Verbal behavior based on a protected category can contribute to a hostile environment as well, such as derogatory comments, slurs, jokes, or offensive emails. Physical behavior could include rude facial expressions or gestures, unwelcome touching, or blocking someone's movements.
As seen in the video, a hostile work environment occurs when an individual feels uncomfortable in his or her environment. This can be caused by repeated occurrences, such as calling someone sugar, honey, darling, baby, gorgeous, and anything that may be demeaning or discriminatory, slurs, jokes, and annoying nicknames, harassing emails, text messages, or phone calls, asking or talking about someone's sex life in the workplace, obscene language and gestures, and invading someone's personal space can all contribute towards a hostile work environment. Technology has made it simple to create and communicate a message, photo, or video with just a click of a button. Therefore, it is possible for sexual harassment and discrimination to occur using social media. Let's take a look at a video example.
There. That one.
Oh.
From when she was in school.
Oh, man, is that Samantha?
Yeah.
I've never seen her like that.
She must have been completely wasted.
This is too good.
Wait. There's more. Wait. One more.
Oh, man. I'll send a link to Doug. The guys upstairs need to see this.
Oh, yeah. Click.
Oh.
Here, check this out. Whoa, is that Samantha? Yeah, Mark just posted this. How did he get these? I don't know, but he's gonna be in big trouble when she finds out. She is gonna get a ton of comments.
Read it.
Here, let me write something. I have to. Show us more. Here we go. We didn't know you had so much talent.
Samantha? Oh, no, didn't you delete this album?
What album? What are you talking about?
They're at it again. You better see this.
Oh, why won't they just leave me alone? I deleted these a long time ago.
You're such a jerk.
Oh my God, let me see. Wait, can everyone see these?
Everybody in the network.
I can't have management see this.
I think it's too late.
Whether it happens online or face-to-face, this type of conduct continues to happen in the workplace. Let's take a look at another video example.
We got a lot of people left in the building?
Nah, just the usual stragglers. Should be clear out soon.
Cool. Hey man, you still dating that girl upstairs on the 4th floor?
No, she broke it off. Thought she was too good for me or something. Oh, but hey, check it out. She's not gonna be so high and mighty once this gets out.
What you got?
Just a little something she let me take when times were good. I put it on a couple of sites.
Whoa.
Go full screen.
Whoa.
Nice angle, right?
Man.
Look at that.
Yeah, she's gonna be pretty upset when she sees this. Whew, bad move. Bad move, dude. You're gonna get in a lot of trouble for that.
What are they gonna do? Besides, I used a fake name.
Yeah. But if they really wanted to, they could track that back to you.
They can't do that. Can they?
Sure they can.
No, really?
Yes, and you know there are going to be consequences for that.
Most employers strictly enforce prohibitions against this kind of activity,
I gotta delete this.
Good luck with that.
whether it occurs on employer systems or happens off the job but ends up affecting the workplace.
It was nice working with you, though. Yeah, that's real funny.
As seen in these video examples, calls, text messages, emails, and posts to social media can quickly get out of control. We live in a time when written statements, emails, and posts have consequences, including civil and criminal liability. The emails and posts create an unerasable record of conduct. Another type of harassment is secondary harassment. This occurs when a harassing behavior is not directed at a particular individual, but the person witnesses or overhears the behavior and is offended. It doesn't matter if the two participants were not offended by the behavior. The harassment depends on the observer. Let's take a look at a video example of secondary harassment.
I had a wonderful night. More than good. I don't even know what time I came home last night.
Oh, this goes on every day. I know her way too well.
As you can see in the video example, the person talking on the phone was not directing that conversation towards her coworker that happened to sit across or near her. However, the coworker, if hearing this type of conversation on a regular basis, is offended by the type of conversation, is a great example of secondary harassment. One of the most known forms of harassment is sexual harassment, which is defined as unwanted sexual advances or requests for sexual favors, or any other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature that affects an individual's employment, unreasonably interferes with his or her work performance, or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Examples of violations could include offering employment benefits in exchange for sexual favors, making or threatening reprisals after a negative response to sexual advances, visual conduct such as leering, making sexual gestures, displaying of suggestive objects or pictures, cartoons, or posters in the workplace, or using derogatory comments, slurs, and jokes. Verbal abuse of a sexual nature, graphic verbal commentaries about an individual's body, sexually degrading words used to describe an individual, suggestive or obscene letters, notes, or invitations, and physical conduct such as touching, assault, impeding, or blocking a person's movements, are all violations and considered sexual harassment. So who may be involved in harassment, discrimination, and bullying in the workplace? It could come from a coworker, a supervisor or manager, a student, a consultant, even the owner. Anyone and everyone. Vendors and customers can also be known as third-party harassers. Employers may be held liable for harassment by customers or vendors if the employer knew or should have known about the harassment and failed to take immediate and appropriate action to correct the situation. Sexual harassment harms us all. The most important part of our corporate values is to ensure all employees are treated with respect and dignity. Engaging in, condoning, or not reporting sexual harassment are in direct conflict with our values. Quid pro quo harassment is another form of sexual harassment. It literally means something for something, such as a tangible employment action such as a promotion, raise, or preferred shift is given in exchange for sexual favor, or denied based on the denial of sexual favors. For example, Sam receives smaller pay increases than other employees with similar performance because he refuses to go out with his supervisor, Elaine. Tangible employment actions may include hiring or firing, promoting or demoting, reassigning an individual, evaluating performance either very favorably or unfavorably, disciplining an employee, recommending certain employees for salary increases, or assigning bonuses or special projects. Again, sexual harassment is not just a woman's issue. Men and women on every level may either be harassers or victims of sexual harassment. Abusive conduct, otherwise known as bullying, is also prohibited in the workplace. Just because there are not currently any anti-bullying laws in the United States, that doesn't mean that bullying will not lead to a lawsuit or is a form of harassment. The definition of bullying is a malicious, deliberate, hurtful, humiliation, and/or intimidation driven by a desire to control. Is bullying harassment? It can be. Such actions such as yelling and shouting, hostile staring and other intimidating body language, constant criticism, malicious gossiping, insults, and/or constant teasing are not only a form of bullying, but also can lead to a hostile work environment. Some examples of bullying in the workplace can be Sam continuously shouts at Sarah in meetings, over the phones, and in the hallway, which could be intentional infliction of emotional distress. Spreading rumors about an employee's performance could be considered defamation of character. James deliberately locked Tim in the conference room is an example of false imprisonment. Or Sally intentionally left Carrie's disciplinary action form on the conference room table for everyone to see, which could be considered an invasion of privacy. Let's look at a video example of bullying and respect in the workplace.
For some reason, the guys took a dislike to Alan from the start.
Alan, man. You should call him.
What's up with you today, man? Do you not take some pride in your appearance? Look here.
What?
Okay, so he's kind of awkward, doesn't really know how to fit in. It didn't take long for them to figure out that he was an easy target. They started making jokes at Alan's expense, called him some choice names, hid his tools, and hung disgusting stuff in his locker. They all seemed to think it was real funny.
Come on, I feel like...
I wouldn't go along with it. I tried to be friendly with Alan so he didn't feel totally cut off. I told the guys to stop, but they kept doing it.
Okay, Alan?
Finally, I had to confront them and make them listen to me. Fellas, stuff with Alan, it's not cool. I started by telling them clearly that I thought what they were doing was wrong. It's really time to grow up, guys. I told them that Alan didn't deserve what they were doing to him. I used to be proud to work with you guys. What happened? All he's trying to do is get his job done. And I feel like he's being constantly harassed while he's doing it. I told them they had to stop now, or I would have to take it to the next level.
Bruh, you don't have to do all that. You've just been having a little fun.
I guess if it means that much to you, we'll stop.
Good. It does.
Whatever you say, man.
If you go along with it and don't say anything, it's just as bad as if you're doing it yourself. But if you do say something, you can make a real difference.
Because bullying behavior jeopardizes the safety and morale of employees, it should be dealt with as soon as possible, just like any other form of harassment. If you are the victim or witness harassment in the workplace, tell the person to stop. The behavior should stop immediately. If it does not, make a member of management aware. Common excuses you may hear are, "I was just kidding around. That's just the way I am. I was just being friendly." Or, "You know how Barry is." Intentions do not matter. Harassment is always in the eye of the beholder. You have a duty to report it to someone. Reporting harassment is important as soon as the incident occurs. Write down what you saw, who was involved, where it occurred, and the date and time of the occurrence, and any coworkers who may have observed the harassing behavior as well. Employees are strongly encouraged to report all incidents of harassment and discrimination. You may report it to your manager or supervisor, or any member of management. All reports of discrimination and harassment will be investigated. Investigations will be as discreet and confidential as possible. And any employee found to have engaged in discrimination, harassment, or other prohibited conduct such as bullying will be subject to appropriate discipline up to and including termination of employment. A manager may not fire, demote, harass, or otherwise retaliate against an individual for filing a complaint of discrimination, participating in a discrimination proceeding, or otherwise opposing discrimination. The same laws that prohibit discrimination based on race, color, sex, religion, national origin, age, disability, and genetic information also prohibit retaliation against individuals who oppose unlawful discrimination or participate in an employment discrimination proceeding. Employees will not be punished for reporting or participating in the investigation of a claim. If you believe that you've been retaliated against, report it immediately to management. Harassment and discrimination may seem complex, but it boils down to one thing: respect. Our workplace standards include acting professionally while at work by treating everyone with courtesy. Employees and supervisors need to familiarize themselves and comply with policies and procedures. Use reasonable care to avoid the harm of harassment. And report incidents that you experience directly or witness as soon as possible. And cooperate with all investigations. Ask yourself, Would you say or do it in front of your spouse, partner, children, parents, or grandparents? Would I want my manager to see or hear my behavior? Does it need to be said or done at all? To sum up today's training, harassment is prohibited by law, both federal and state. Harassment harms us all, and you have the power to prevent it in the workplace. Thank you for your time and attention today. If you have any further questions about the material presented, please speak to your immediate supervisor.